Hello everyone. Tonight, I've decided to talk about the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection because I fully completed all three games over a month ago. And with that, I have fully developed thoughts on all three games. I have played a little bit of Super Mario 64 when it was released for the Wii Virtual Console or whatever it's called. However, I didn't get very far with it because I was a child and did not have that good of an attention span. And I had played Super Mario Galaxy, so its gameplay was not enough to grasp me at the time. And then Super Mario Sunshine is a game I'd never played because I could never get a hold of it. I did not get it on the GameCube back when I had that. But Super Mario Galaxy is a game that I fully completed, both Mario and Luigi, back when it was released. And Super Mario Galaxy 2, another game I fully completed, was my favorite game of all time up until Super Mario Odyssey, and then Breath of the Wild. So, with that said, I was excited to replay Super Mario Galaxy because it's a game that I still love to this day. And I was willing to give Super Mario 64 another chance, which I did, and I've obviously fully completed that. But Super Mario Sunshine was a game I was nervous about playing, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But obviously I'm going to have to go out of order for this. I'll start with Super Mario Galaxy. Like I said, it's a game that I love. I love its art design. I love its gravity mechanics. Basically, it is a game I have no problems with as a platformer. Everybody has praised it to hell and back. So, what else can you say? But with Super Mario 64, I definitely appreciated it a lot more the second time around because, for one, it is one of the most revolutionary games for its time. And it was showing other 3D games how to do it. There are some technical issues that are still present, of course, like the camera. But, to be honest, it is aged much better than a lot of other games. I'm not sure if I'd want to play it again, but I would enjoy playing it more than Super Mario Sunshine, but not as much as another playthrough of Galaxy. Because basically when you have these three games, you have a revolutionary game, a good game, and a masterpiece. So, the Super Mario 64, it is a game I'd still recommend playing, but just keep an open mind when you start it up. And maybe space it out, because the way I played these games definitely evolved as I kept going. Super Mario 64 was a game I played over the course of, I think, 10 days, and I was just getting stars over the course of certain days. Like, each day I'd get a certain amount of stars, and I'd stop. It was just like a small burst over the course. But then eventually, on one specific day, I got everything else. Just binge played to the end. So, Super Mario Sunshine. Definitely the one that would have the most amount of discussion and debate. But the reason I was nervous for this game is pretty irrelevant given my full experience. Because people cite Super Mario Sunshine as the black sheep of the 3D Mario games. And I assumed because the game had full-fledged voice acting and more of a story than the rest of the games. However, that's not really the reason. I will talk about both those first. In terms of a full story, at the very beginning, it pretty much does. And then when you get to the final boss fight, it kind of does. And then there's a mid-battle fight. But otherwise, it doesn't really have any more of a story than any of the other Mario games. Like, the setup is interesting. And, like, Peach is with you until she's kidnapped, of course. And then it's typical same old, same old. Then there's the introductory of Bowser Jr. And obviously the most messed up thing about that game's story is the lie for Bowser Jr. that his mother's Princess Peach, and she herself can't even confirm or deny it. And I have a theory behind why she could believe that. Given how many times she's been kidnapped, who knows if Bowser's sick enough to have like fertility eggs stolen from her so he could use like in some type of like surrogacy pregnancy, if that makes any sense. But it's pretty bizarre. That's not true anyway, so it's nothing you should really harp on. So there's a little bit more of a story overall of this game, but I wouldn't say it's that much really. But now on to the voice acting. What interests me about the game is that it only has one voice acting track, English, despite being mostly a Japanese video game. That's the thing about the Mario games. Every single one of them is designed to where there will only be an English language audio track, and then all the text is replaced with the appropriate language. The game might have been written in Japanese, but the few bits of spoken audio that you have is translated to English and then voice acted, and then maybe if something's changed for the English version, it'll get translated back in the original Japanese version to match the subtitles. And obviously, Dark Souls did this to a much larger extent of being like a mostly Japanese-made video game with an English language voice cast. But that's an example of a game that fully took advantage of it and did it right. But Super Mario Sunshine, on the other hand, a lot of people say the game has some of the worst voice acting of all time. And I won't say it's good, but when you hear Bomb the Barrel voice acting like Ride to Hell Retribution, it's really hard to be offended by poor voice acting in a video game, unless it's offensively bad. I can't defend the voice acting, and it does have a bit of discomfort, I'll say that. But I don't even know what else to say. It's really, really not that big of an issue once you're fully completing the game, at least in my opinion. Because fully completing the game was the biggest challenge that I faced out of these three games. Galaxy was a joy to complete, and Super Mario 64 was fine to complete. But Sunshine is just a true challenge, and not the most enjoyable one. The casual playthrough is alright, but we all know about the certain optional challenges that are painful to finish and really test your skill level. However, testing your skill level requires a level of technical craft and fairness. Like, I've never played Dark Souls, but I've heard that it's very fair with how brutal its gameplay is. But for a Mario game, you can tell that a lot of this is just down to maybe like a rush development or a lack of polish. And that's the thing about the game. You can tell that it's not as polished as the rest of the games in the 3D catalog. So, it is a fun game to play. It is unique. There's no other game like it I've played. The flood mechanics are actually a lot of fun, to where, of course, when you take it away for those levels, it actually gives me vertigo playing those. Like, I don't know why, it's just very nerve-wracking. But most of my frustration came from Super Mario Sunshine. There were times where I was looking everything up, and of course, the blue coins, I was simply watching videos for those. I couldn't be bothered. I mean, I don't know how anyone can find all those without using a guide. Unless you're like a video game designer and you know where to look. But all in all three are good games. Like a revolutionary game, a good game, and a masterpiece. And if anything, Super Mario Sunshine really belongs in a collection. Like, it'd probably be under more scrutiny if it was released on its own. But now, onto my thoughts of it as a collection. I can't really defend anything about how it was released as a collection, because there's so much skepticism with it. Like, the fact that it's a time-limited release to where you can't get the collection after March 31st of this year, which is coming up soon, as well as the fact that it is just the 3 games, mostly unaltered, along with just the soundtracks, which having uncompressed versions of the soundtracks is pretty great. And those will be passed around better than how they were in the past. But there are collections that have done a lot more and are much better value than this. I can't say it's a horrible value, because the amount of hours you have to sink into these 3 games to fully complete them is not like the worst thing for a $60 price tag, along with having the 3 soundtracks. Because when you think about how much money you'd have to spend to get all 6 of those individually, it'd definitely be something. If you never played the 3 games, or only played 1 or 2, and hadn't played another, then I could still recommend this collection. If you played all 3 of them, fully completed them, and don't feel like playing them again, then yeah, you could skip this one. Or if you're just not a Mario fan. But with that said, I am still glad that I bought the collection, and overall, I am very satisfied with the time I put into it. So, there you go. That's all I have to say.